Yo, what's going on everyone? It's Codadine, and we're back with another build video. Today, I'm going to be bringing my level 50 Barbarian build. Now, this isn't fully complete. You guys will get a lot more attack power and everything like that later down the line, so take everything right now with a grain of salt. But we are going to go ahead and go over my abilities. So with our basic attack, we're going to go with Bash. So whenever you bash the enemy, 4 times your next bash will stun. This is going to be a stun build, of course. We're going to go ahead and take Enhanced Bash. Every time you damage a stun enemy with Bash, it grants you Fortify off of your base life. You want to be fortified. After critically striking 4 times with Bash, using a 2-handed weapon, your next core or weapon master skill will overpower. We went ahead and took this over Battle Bash because we already generate enough Fury from another passive I'll show you later. Actually, I'll go ahead and show you right now. Endless Fury. Basic skills generate 15% more Fury when using 2-handed weapons. So technically, if you weren't doing anything with Overpower, which we are going to be utilizing a little bit in this build, you can go ahead and get the extra Fury for this if you're not doing anything with Overpower. Moving on, our core skill is going to be Hammer of the Ancients. I really like this a lot. If I was going for like more of a berserking build, I would go with Upheaval and pick the Violent Upheaval to get berserking a lot more. But I just love the way this feels, so I've been using Hammer of the Ancients a lot. So of course you got to grab Enhanced Hammer of the Ancients. You gain 3% more Fury for 5 seconds for each enemy damage by Hammer of the Ancients, and it stacks up to 10 times. Now remember, with the Overpower, we're going to go ahead and take Violent Hammer of the Ancients. After overpowering with Hammer of the Ancients, you go ahead and get a 30% damage buff for 5 seconds. The reason we took that over this is for the Overpower. If we weren't doing anything with Overpower, I would take Furious Hammer of the Ancients. Moving down to our defensive skills, we're actually going to take 2 here. We went with Ground Stomp. We went ahead and grabbed this because I love the earthquakes in this game. So I have the imprinted Ground Stomp that creates an earthquake. Of course, it does damage over time, but while you're standing in it, you do get that 5% increased damage. Of course, you can only get this from extracting from legendaries, so I kind of messed up putting this on a 559 item power. So I could upgrade this, but right now I do have a better ring that I could trade out for it. But we're going to keep this on right now just because I want my Ground Stomp to have that earthquake, at least for the showcase of this build. So back up here, we went ahead and took Enhanced Ground Stomp and increases the duration by 1 second. And we went ahead and took Strategic Ground Stomp, which reduces your ultimate skill by 1 second for every enemy that you damage with this. I want my ultimate to come back as fast as possible, so that's why we went ahead and took it over Tactical Ground Stomp, which generates Fury. Still really nice, but if you want to switch out your ultimate or you're not using one at all, I would definitely go ahead and grab Tactical Ground Stomp. The reason why we're rocking 2 defensive is because with every single character, every single build, you gotta have survivability, and Iron Skin was the best option for me. It grants you a barrier that absorbs 60% of your missing life for 5 seconds. We went ahead and took Enhanced Iron Skin. Iron Skin's barrier absorbs 12% more of your maximum life. And we went with Tactical Iron Skin for heals. While Iron Skin is active, heal for 10% of the barrier's original amount as life per second. We're not going with this because our Bash fortifies us when we stun things, so we don't really need any fortify from our Iron Skin. Plus, this is going to be one of our main sources for healing. Down to our Brawling skills, we went with Leap. Like I said, I love the earthquake stuff, so we actually have right here on my chest piece, we have the imprint. Leap creates an earthquake. Of course, it does damage over time, but this also, while you stand in this one, you get a 5% damage reduction, which is really, really nice. Of course, with the Leap, we went with Enhanced Leap. If leap doesn't damage any enemies, so if you would just move around the map or get some places quicker and you want to utilize leap, you can go ahead, especially if you can't use your mount anywhere. This is really good. We went with power leap because we do need some kind of fury generation outside of our basic attack, so that's why we went with power leap over mighty leap, because we're not benefiting anything. We're not doing any more damage to enemies that are slowed or anything like that, so I just want to generate more fury. To our weapon mastery, we're not actually running any of these. Like I said, if you want to not use an ultimate at all, I would recommend Steel Grasp. Not only are you pulling enemies to you, but I would take the enhanced Steel Grasp, which makes them vulnerable. Of course, when you make enemies vulnerable, they do more they take more damage, so you will do more damage to them. And I would go a Fighter Steel Grasp because it grants you Berserking. Another nice damage buff plus movement speed. This one is okay if you don't want anything to do with Berserk, but if you do switch out your ultimate for a weapon mastery, I would definitely take Steel Grasp and go with the Fighter Steel Grasp. But we're not actually running anyone, so. Two of the passes we're actually going to take here is Pit Fighter. You deal 9% increased damage to close enemies, which you will always be close, and you gain 6% distant damage reduction. So anything further away from you, like archers or anything like that, you'll take less damage from, which is nice. And we also went with No Mercy. You have 9% critical strike chance against immobilized, stunned, or slowed enemies. Now, I know this slows, and we get more critical strike chance from it, but we're going to be stunning everything anyway with our basic attack, ground stomp, so that's why I'm not taking the slow on leap. Some more passives here we're taking is Thick Skin. Like I said earlier, on the Iron Skin, you don't need that Fortify because we also have this. Every time you take direct damage, you gain Fortify. Now, it's not a crazy amount, as you see, but it does help. Especially if, since you only stun things for 2.5 seconds, you're not going to be able to get your fully stacked Fortify fast. So this will help just a little bit, especially if you have your Iron Skin active. Every time you take damage, it's still going to grant you Fortify while you have that barrier up. You won't lose any health. So on top of that, we're taking Counter Offense. While you have Fortify for over 50% of your maximum life, you deal 12% increased damage. Of course, we want that damage. It's really nice. And we're going to be pretty much fortified all the time. So then down here to our ultimate, we're going to take Call of the Ancients. I was rocking Iron Maelstrom for a while, and it's really nice. The only reason why is because the first initial attack stuns enemies. And 56 seconds for the cooldown isn't bad, especially with ground stomp when we're going to be getting it back faster anyway for every enemy we damage with this. So I went with Call of the Ancients because not only does it have a shorter cooldown, but you get so many. We'll check out these modifiers. While Call of the Ancients is active, gain 10% bonus attack speed and 10% increased damage. Okay. Now, for each of your Ancients, they also grant you an additional power. So Corlick, you gain 10 Fury each time Corlick damages an enemy with his Frenzy. So that's more Fury generation for you as well to spam your Hammer of the Ancients. Talik, enemies are slowed by 50% for 1 second when damaged by his Whirlwind. Now, if you guys really want to, you could take the leap slow. Not only are you going to be critting more on them when they are slowed when you use your leap, but you're going to be getting back, just going to be doing more damage from one of your guys as well. Then Maldok, 30% chance to stun enemies for 3 seconds when using his upheaval. So that's more stun for you as well. These guys are just really good to have on the battlefield. I love them a lot. So we went ahead and took Prime Call of the Ancients. While Call of the Ancients is active, you gain 10% bonus attack speed and 10% increase more damage. I think we already said that. Yep, and this is where, okay, my bad. So yep, those modifiers are already read from the actual skill because we already had them. So really good. I like these guys a lot. If you guys want, you can always switch back to Iron Maelstrom, but personally, these guys just come back fast and they're very, very good to have on the battlefield. So since we're using a two-handed weapon, we're going to go ahead and grab heavy-handed, which you deal 15% increased critical strike damage while using a two-handed weapon. We're going to go ahead and grab wallop, since we're stunning everything a lot. We're not doing really anything with vulnerable. Of course, you will benefit from this if you switch out something for steel grasp. You'll be making them vulnerable as well. But this is really nice. So we're also going to head and take brute force as well. Your overpowers deal 45% increased damage when using a two-handed weapon. Now, personally, I was not a big fan of overpower at first. It was kind of meh every now and then, especially, but since you do get this critical strike chance, it's gonna. So when you get this critical strike chance from this, you'll be critically striking with this. You need this to get your overpower back online faster. Of course, you'll do it every now and then just from the 3% chance that everybody has. But you'll just be doing more critical strike chance with this. So that's why we went ahead and grabbed brute force, because that thing smacks when you do overpower. Now your key passives, these I personally am having a hard time picking between Walking Arsenal and Unbridled Rage. Now with this build, we are only really going to be utilizing our two-handed hammer, or mace, I should say. So when you're dealing direct damage with a two-handed bludgeoning weapon, two-handed slashing weapon, or dual-wielding weapons, grants 10% increased damage for 6 seconds. So no matter which one of these you're using, you're just going to get a 10% damage for one of these weapons. Now, while all three bonuses are active, you gain an additional 15% increased damage. Now, even though we're only utilizing one weapon from this Walking Arsenal, we're just going to be walking around with 10% increased damage all the time, because we're always going to be basic attacking, using Hammer of the Ancients, all that. Leap also utilizes your weapon as well. So I went ahead and took the 10% increased damage. Now, if you are generating Fury enough, I would take Unbridled Rage. Of course, you can enhance how much Fury you generate and stuff like that with other legendaries later down the line, which is what I probably will do if I'm generating a lot of Fury. I'm going to grab this because my Hammer of the Ancients is going to demolish everything with this. Your core skills deal 135% increased damage, but they cost 100% more Fury. That was another reason why I went with where I generate Fury for my leap, because I wanted to be able to use this a lot more. But I found myself in situations where I wasn't really using my Hammer of the Ancients enough. So remember, at the end of the day, it's all personal preference. This is everything I'm using. I also have this for my Hammer of the Ancients. Hammer of the Ancients also does a quake outwards, dealing 64% of its damage to enemies. And this also smacks. It's awesome. I love if you're not using this, you really don't have an AoE on your Hammer of the Ancients. So that's why I love this, because it gives you that quake as well. And like I said, I really, really love earthquakes. So some other things like this, after swapping weapons 6 times, you gain Fortify. I'm just rocking this because this was the best pants I had at the time. We're not really going to be swapping any weapons because we're just utilizing the hammer right now. Right here, after generating 100 Fury, your next core skill creates a Dust Devil that deals 401 damage to enemies behind the target. Of course, your damage will go up depending on your stats. Just running this because it was the best gloves I had, but that Dust Devil does do some decent damage when it does pop out. Now, this right here works really, really well with your Iron Skin. You deal 30% increased damage while you have a barrier active. So you're just getting a nice damage buff from your Iron Skin as well, which usually it would not do. So then also coming to our weapon expertise, we went ahead and locked in one-handed mace expertise. 5% increased damage to stun enemies. It doubles the amount when you use 2 maces. I went ahead and locked this in because, of course, we're stunning everything all the time. So I just went with this for the extra damage to stun enemies. And then, of course, we're using a hammer, so we have this maxed out. Of course, you get the lucky hit, up to 10% chance to gain 2 Fury when hitting an enemy, but we're not really doing anything with lucky hit, so that means nothing to us right there. But this down here, you deal 15% increased critical strike damage to stunned and vulnerable enemies while berserking. Also, kind of not really using berserking, so this kind of doesn't mean anything. That's why I said if you guys want to switch out for Steel Grasp, you will be getting that berserking every now and then. Well, actually, you should be able to keep it up a lot. So remember, it's all up to you guys. I'm personally loving this build right now, and I can't wait to enhance it further later down the line, which is what I'm actually working on right now. So thank you guys for watching and tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.